Knockout Legends in the building. Like, comment, and subscribe. So, today I'm going to talk about the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Now, I can't believe I'm listening to all the rhetoric and the news that's going on about what's going on, and I'm actually witnessing Anthony Joshua take a fight with Jake Paul. First, it was Gervonta Davis. Then Paul pulled out and then blamed Davis and said that because he got some domestic problems that he forced him to pull out the fight and that he obviously messed it up. But it's weird even in fighting Gervonta Davis because Gervonta Davis is flipping lightweight. Jake Paul is like, I think he's a cruiserweight, really. He's like a cruiserweight. Do you know what I mean? Or light heavyweight at best. Do you know what I mean? And he got beat by Tommy Fury. You know what I mean? And he wants to fight Davis, proper boxer, and then he wants to fight, now he's fighting Joshua. But then there's a 45-pound weight clause. So Joshua can't go any heavier than that. Now, we all know Joshua's been on the slide for a while. But Joshua should be able to dispatch Paul even at that weight. He dealt with Ngannou easy. So, and Ngannou can actually fight. I'm not saying he's not a boxer, but he can fight. You know what I mean? Because look what he did to flipping Fury. But it's just a sad day for boxing, and I'm actually disappointed in Anthony Joshua because he's gonna end up basically it being a self-fulfilling prophecy of what people have always said about him. He was never good. He was rubbish. He's just a robot. A lot of the fights were handpicked. He bought the title with the Charles Martin fight. And then all the other fights they were rigged or handpicked at the right time. So Joshua's ruining his own legacy himself. To be fair, after the second Usyk fight, if he wasn't going to fight Wilder or Fury, he should have just flipping quitted and retired. He doesn't need any more money. How much more money do you really need? And I'm sorry to say it, but I understand you're a businessman and you're in this to make money and this, that and the other, but you actually changed your style and wanted to box and not be the tough, rugged, puncher that you were after the Vladimir Klitschko fight, because you even said that that you don't want to have a fight like that again, and it actually shows in your boxing. I'm not saying that he's timid or you don't want to fight, but that there is the mindset what you don't want as a boxer. If you're hungry, it's not going to help you. But again, then the Ruiz knockout, and I give you credit for taking anyone and everyone on, because obviously Miller pulled out and because of PEDs, but you didn't even do any research on Andy Ruiz. And then you tried to stand in the pocket with him after you dropped him. And that's the first time he's ever been dropped. And you didn't think anything's going to come back. Come on, man. Ruiz is big, man. But anyway, it is what it is. Now, people are saying if Joshua loses or doesn't knock out Paul in the first round, it's rigged, and I agree. If he doesn't dispatch of Paul within, I'd say, at least a minute and a half of the first round, the fight's rigged. You know what I mean? And people might go, yeah, but Paul can box. He can't box. He can't. You could barely hang him with Tommy Fury. He went life and death with Tommy Fury. You know what I mean? And Tommy Fury could box. So allegedly can. But anyway, I don't know what to say about this, but he's just ruining his legacy, Anthony Joshua, and it's just greed. It's sheer greed. You've been injured all this time. You don't want to have a proper fight with anyone. You just want to take a fight where you think it's easy and it's for money. I don't blame you, and I don't blame Eddie Hearn, but you're just making yourself look bad in the British public's eyes, and you're just making yourself look bad worldwide. At least Wilder's fighting flipping boxers. At least he's fighting people that do box. Why not come back and fight one of the other top contenders? Why not fight Wardley? There's a belt there up for grabs. You could fight Wardley. Well, I'm pretty sure Wardley would want to take that fight. He'd take it as a defence to see how good he is and see if he could finger him. That would actually be a good test to see if Joshua could stand up to the power of Wardley. And then I'm going to combine something in with this video as well, talking about Wardley. Now, Wardley's been elevated from interim to WBCO champion because, obviously, he has been, because Usyk's dropped the belt. Now, do I consider him a legitimate fighter or a legitimate heavyweight? Yeah, I do. I can you can consider him a legitimate heavyweight world champion, because technically, I'm not saying it was, but technically that fight there, it was between the former interim champion and the current challenger for the interim title. So with Usyk giving it up, Usyk's pretty smart, because if he does want to reunify, which he possibly will, he will fight Wardley. And what better way to get more, I suppose, money, because Wardley's going to bring in a big draw because he's become more and more and more popular. He's basically become the new Anthony Joshua in a sense, Wardley, because he's well spoken. He's got a good manneristic and characteristics about him. He's not uncouth, you know. He doesn't really swear. He knows how to commentate as well, because he's done a bit of commentating. And, you know, being around Dillian Whyte, he's learned how to be a businessman. And I like Fabio Wardley. I like his style. He's athletic and he's got power. You know, he's raw, but in that rawness, he's got instinct. You can't teach that. And within that, from the white collar background, boxing background, you've actually realised he's actually learned quite a lot on his path to become basically a world champion. Now, the way he's done it's not probably orthodox, but he's been through every other stage what you can been through to get to the title where he's got. It's just that he didn't actually fight the current champion for it, but he fought the interim champion for it. So technically, I understand them elevating it because Usyk's dropped the belt. Is it fair? I suppose for Parker, who's been waiting a long time, it's not fair, but possibly maybe they revisit a rematch and Wardley gives him first grabs at the belt if he can sort out his issues with the flipping PEDs allegations and the cocaine. But I'll do a video about that anyway. But leave your thoughts on the comment section and tell me what you think about the Anthony Joshua fight and with Wardley being elevated to WBO heavyweight champion. Like, comment and subscribe, and that is another one from the one and only Knockout Legends. Peace.